to yourself. If we're starting, we're starting, okay? Pay attention to yourself inside you. Shivagam, you're translating for the Hispanics? Yes? So this seminar started a bit excited. Now we're going to be more and more focused inside on what we have to do, okay? The way we see things, the way we talk, the way we have communication and dialogue with people, we always do it from the standpoint that we're right. Do you agree? We initiate a communication thinking we're right. It takes humility to go into an attitude of wanting to discover if I'm right. Okay? And until you get to the point of humility where maybe I'm wrong and I need to validate. And until you can drop off the I hope I'm right and drop off the I hope I'm not wrong and get out of this right and wrong concept and just be objective. So I have opinions, let's go find the truth. Okay? So you got a pressure, I need to be right. Then you progress to I hope I am right. Then you progress to I hope I'm not wrong. You know, it's still defensive. Huh? And then you progress to, and that's the bad point, is when you're so afraid of that kind of conversation or conflict because accumulated pain over the years hurt you, you initiate a conversation thinking you're wrong as much as thinking you're right. And you would say like, I know I'm wrong to say this, but, and then you go with the fact you think you're right and you hope you're not too wrong, but you're so convinced you're wrong because you can't admit that actually you just want to know the truth and you're uncertain yourself and you got this power building not to be wrong, but you can't be right. So, oh my God, shame just sticks everything inside. So yesterday I was in therapy with someone and I was taking care of that person. And I felt more like, how about we go to the movies, okay? And she felt more like going in to find a soothing presence. So it went to the soothing presence. And as long as she understood that it wasn't going to lead to any kind of sexual intercourse or intimacy, I allowed her to stay with me alone in that place where we were. Which wasn't too suggestive, but you know, you never know what happens in the mind of someone. And it's cool because she got that respect, I think. And at one point, she says, I think I'm gonna leave now. I said, okay. I completely accept this. I just want to know, why do you want to leave? You see, I was going to give her a teaching. So why do you want to leave? And she gives me the bullshit of being too tired. And I know she was tired. But while talking about, are you certain you're tired and everything, and they said, yeah, so I'm just going to go down with other people and watch the movie. She just contradicted herself. I'm too tired, so I'm going to stay up until 1:30 and watch a movie. You know, I said, come on. And it took a while just for her to understand she had just lied to herself. She was so convinced that she was right. And she could not even go inside to admit there's something that caused her to want to go. It was not that I'm tired, let's go rest, and then, I changed my mind, let's go to the movies. No. It was something inside. It took a while. Well, I want to go see that guy, you know. said, ah, that was honest. Okay? But there was something that was causing her to feel ashamed. Ashamed of just admitting purely what she wanted. Because she's used to just keep all the reason for herself. Why? Because these reasons, when she was honest, has been used against her to hurt her by a manipulator. So she grew in the defensive system. I'm using that story, which is a real life story of a conversation I had with someone yesterday. And this person wanted to go get a different level of attention than the one she could receive from me, which is different. You understand? And she didn't want to hurt my feelings by saying, well, you know, I want to get some dick, you know. Saying at least, well, I want to go see that person that I enjoy, you know. Without going into the details. I said, well, you were honest. That was at least honest. It was superficial, but honest. The real thing, okay? And then she didn't need to explain, well, the kind of attention you give me was the one I required while I needed it, and I was crying and I was hurt, and now I feel so good, and I feel like going to enjoy myself as a normal human. And that was okay. But even as she said, I'm so ashamed, she told me, I know why I don't want to say it. I'm so ashamed to say it. Why? You know, I don't give a shit what you do with your own life. Why would you be ashamed? She was ashamed of having a desire. Okay? So she couldn't talk about it because it was a desire causing her to go want to see a normal human that was about, you know, that was at least capable of satisfying her at this level. Do you understand that? Everything in that conversation yesterday, that small little part, got her to see, oh, she was respected after sharing her true intentions. And that was good. It was a good thing for her to see, well, I respect her. And because I didn't share that type of feeling for her, it was so cool for me to know she could go experience that thing with someone else. So, you know, we were okay, we were clear on our relationship. So that was good. But until I got her to stop, feel what's the real thing, and she still found a way, you know, to say it with the least words possible and give as little clue as possible, at least she was honest. But before that moment, she was absolutely convinced of the truth. When she said, I'm tired, I want to go watch a movie. So convinced that she was saying the truth that she didn't even see her own contradiction. Do you understand this? So, you do that. Okay? Every single thing you say, every argument that you use in any kind of negotiation or conversation or argumentation is a pure lie. A construction that you build to avoid knowing the truth yourself. That's what you do. Everyone. We all do this. 99.9% of the stuff that comes out of our mouth when it has to do with contact, human contact, is bullshit. Okay? Breathe. That's hard. Huh? Your intellect doesn't understand emotions, desires, and stuff like that until they are felt so often that you would get an intellectual understanding. Actually, you get a wisdom level understanding also, which is pretty good. But before you do the work of understanding feelings and what pushes you to do stuff inside, you ignore. You just don't see it. So you got, you know, let's make a symbolic body, okay? Okay, you're a container of something. And your intellect is the upper membrane, okay? And you're looking at what is projected on that, and you take it as the truth, okay? And that's your, let's say this is a base chakra, and there's a very big, powerful light bulb, you know. Actually looks like a light bulb. And it's just projecting an intense light inside you. And all the potentials inside you, all the crap, all the stuff, all the things are tainting the light, and it projects that on your membrane, which is your intellect mind, okay? So all that you're looking at is that, oh my God, look at these, you know, Chinese colorful theater, you know, Chinese theater, just shadows with the hands. And you say, oh, that's like, you know, a bunny going, and the bad dog is going to eat that. But no, it's hands. It's hands. The truth is, it's someone's hands, okay? But you accept to just look at what it looks like. And you take it as the truth. And you are completely fooled yourself, because it takes an effort to bring your attention lower and look at the entire lava lamp of potentials that are going about you, tainting that light, preventing you to know the truth and for what it is. And then saying, okay, you know, that person yesterday had an idea of wanting to go see that guy that she has that kind of contact with. And she, you know, deep inside she knew that her going away to rest or going away to watch a movie, she didn't care about the actual justification. She only wanted to go away. To go get it. If it happened or not my concern. I wasn't there. I didn't peek, you know. Through my mind, you know. I don't do it. You know, some people think I'm clairvoyant and I see everything. No, I don't. And seriously, if I would, I wouldn't give a shit anyway, so no judgment. The thing is, deep down she knew that what she wanted is to have some kind of contact. But she completely ignored it herself. She was like, I want to go away, let's use a... Oh, that could be going away, you know? Rest. I'm tired. But I'm, you know, I assure you that her attitude, oh, yeah, I'm tired, is that... Oh, how are you there? And I don't care for some dick. Pussy? Or, no, I don't know how she approached a guy. Care for some dick would be weird. Actually, I just, you know, screw it up. That's how I go usually to say, hey girl, hey baby. And that's why I'm always alone. Hey woman, you want to do a lip stand on my love muscle? Eh? Get a bit of my luscious boa of love? You know, I don't know why they don't get it. Just, maybe I lack confidence. I don't use my dick, and I use my dick so rarely that I've forgotten the entire, you know, method. What?
You're so modest.
Seriously. You know, a penis has a sponge structure inside, and if you have erections often, you will have bigger dick because you get it used to stretch to this full extent. So if you don't have erections often, your dick becomes smaller. That's it. So I am modest. I have a small one because I'm freed of the pride of thinking I have a big one. And saying I have a small one, which is the truth, because I don't really use it. So it's kind of, you know, like a muscle, like the sponge that the tissue is just whatever. And because of that, well, I'm not so good in bed, so it does dissuade the ladies to knock on my room at 7 o'clock in the morning or at night. So I'm okay with that. That's it. So yes, you think I was modest and I was hiding shit from you. No. You know, you wouldn't even feel it in your own hole, you know. He's gay, by the way, so. So you would not get satisfaction from it. No. So you see, you're trying to say a joke, so modest, but actually, you could not even be honest enough to know that deep inside that joke was motivated by a desire to discover my dick. Okay? Do you understand? And he goes, yeah, I do. That was honest, okay? That was so freaking honest. He does experience something, which is love in his heart. But when you got the love in the heart, it expands and eventually the body kicks in. It's okay. That was honest. I have a small one, and you wouldn't be satisfied. Just keep hugging me.
I like big ones, they hurt, so I prefer small.
Oh, fuck. I'm looking at my top membrane. I'm looking at my top membrane. Looking at the shadows, trying to find a justification. I know, well, I can't do it unless it's my foot, you know. You're trying to dissuade you in any way, till it gets to that. Oh my, that image. Oh, you know, I even screwed myself with the false justification of my memory. Actually, he caused shame in me. That's what it just did. You know, if I had this principle, because I have it, actually, I just know how to think. What's my, oh my God, I have to answer something as a joke, you know, to keep going along with it, but it was really produced by the fact that, oh, I had a shame. I'm showing you how to do it. I did this on purpose so something would rise out of it. So I can show you, look, I'm going to justify, no, I'm okay. You know, you care for fisting? Do it. Oh, no, it hurt even more. Sorry, can't do that. You know, the thing is, it was just the simple, honest, oh, homosexual, suggest that you wouldn't mind. I have to find a way out. Why must I find a way out? Because I'm not going to go along with it. And I am afraid to hurt his feeling. I am a spiritual master. I still got that potential. I'm afraid to hurt his feeling. I breathe. Okay? I just showed you this entire joking system that we all laughed still had profound potentials inside. And I thank you for participating in the teaching. So I could teach you it's normal when at the heart you feel that love so intensely that the mind and the body just kicks in. Okay? It's normal, it's okay. And I think you feel it honestly. I am still going to love you. And you know, it won't actually become physical. It's okay. You know, you're at peace with that. You're gonna go and, you know, fist someone else or what. Maybe just a You understand this? I just gave you a direct example involving sexual intercourse with something that could have been shameful for a homo to share stuff like that, like in a crowd. All this stuff that could have been shameful, that actually was at one point, was just projected at the mind, and we could have stayed in the ignorance of believing all this joking is the truth. Unless I taught you, look inside what happened. Boom, 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 boom. Potentials after one another, just going rocking inside. And when we don't look at this, what happens? These rolling potentials keep rolling and keep wreaking havoc and keep destroying. These potentials inside, these agglomerations of emotions and desires and hatred and vengeance and I'm so sorry and I'm a piece of crap and I'm not right, I want to be right, I can't be, so let's pretend I'm not and still hope I am, and that. All this shit, okay, keeps rolling. Now, how honest have you been in your communications, in your life with your lovers? When you know at one point you have been next to him or her with a desire and stayed immobile, frozen by the feeling of uncertainty, frozen by the insecurity of rejection. He might not comply, she might not accept. You know, starting after just a few weeks after the beginning of your relationship, you start to establish standards of when you do it and when you don't, and you get into that point of even lying to yourself, pretending day after day after day that you're not bothered by that power that profoundly motivates every move you make. You know, just the place you sit and the place you put your hand on the bench hoping, I so not dare put my hand on his lap. You're going out with him, you blow his fucking dick once a month, but now you got that shame you can't explain of directly taking his hand, you just put it there, and then when you see spend the evening uses his hand for the chip and the beer, it doesn't put it on yours, feels so rejected. But you have rejected yourself. Rejecting myself, I'm applying to myself. Sometimes I miss words when I'm tired. Okay? If you say I miss words, you need to tell me. Thank you for yesterday taking me. Like you said this, you meant that. So you reject yourself. I'm speaking of me. I rejected myself when I was doing that. I can recognize that. I am at the source of the beginning of the isolation in my own couple, until it became just natural after the birth of baby for a woman that has to focus on a different thing. Okay? But you remember those potentials, this power inside that just stuck you in that inability, that abandonment. Huh? And some of it is your responsibility. I'm not saying your fault, I'm saying your responsibility. And some of it is a responsibility of the other. I'm not saying his fault, I'm saying his or her responsibility. Responsibility meaning, doesn't mean fault, it means if you are responsible, you will take care of it. It's your responsibility, meaning you have to make that move. You have to initiate the conversation, the contact, the dialogue. And that dialogue should be as soft and respectful as possible, but you are in charge of not blaming the other for that thing unsatisfied inside you. Breathe, feel it, live it. We call this the veil, because before I use the lava lamp with the lamp there, before I use this kind of imagery, what we called it was the veil, because it was that metaphor in our view started in Japan, where it was the very thin paper, where there was light inside, and you could see people going on, and it was unclear what they were doing, so you could interpret instead of actually just knocking to see or going away because it's none of your business, being responsible. So it started with that paper rise, then it became the veil of just hanging a curtain and you're not certain what's going on the other side, but the shadows give you hints, and those shadows are lies. Okay? So that veil of the mind is where you project your interpretation of the little information you have, and you believe it to be the truth. So you see someone act, doing certain things, and you take it personal when that person felt so bad about himself or herself, couldn't take a time tonight to satisfy your desire. You're thinking about someone else, are you, bitch? You're thinking about someone else. No, I'm not. Where do you get this? And I know, because your attention is on someone else. Yeah. The attention was on herself. And that guy, it's past story again. I often use past stories of people I know won't mind. Even if I say no name, that I invoke their own stories. So that guy, that boy, completely convinced the girl was thinking about someone else than him. And he was right. She was trying to take care of herself. She was in pain. Something happened at the job. But he didn't receive that kind of attention. It's another boy. Because he was only thinking in terms of the attention a man wants. Couldn't even conceive her reality. And she was lying to herself also. Imagine the communication when two lying people lie to each other, convinced they're right, or hope they are, or hope they're not wrong, or convinced they're wrong but can't live with that, so still have to fight about it. Man! How hard can communication be if you're stuck with the interpretation of the shadows of the tail of a lizard on the sand of a desert? It's so refined little things that you're not sure. It's just a little expression in the jazz world that we say, Not even the shadow of a tail of a lizard. Okay? Let it mean what it means. It's just the name of a song that became an inspiration for something else. So when you have so little to base your deductions on, your deductive power is to interpret, and this interpretation, even if you were right about what you perceive of the other, what you perceive of the other is still the projected shadow of what you think you perceive of the other. Even more, that whatever you perceive of the other is the shadow that she or he has of himself, ignoring the truth. I mean, if you stay stuck, convinced that you're right, when all you see is a dream on the membrane, there's no way you'll ever be in a state of truth. And you have to start with yourself. You have to start by sinking down in yourself. I'm hurt right now. That's what you have to tell him or her. But I can't. Why? Because he would just reply negatively. Because he would just push me away. No! Because I'm ashamed. You know, instead of using the dream, because he would not listen, because it would not work, because of what? No, because I'm afraid. Not because he would reject me. The truth is, I'm afraid he would reject me. Not because he might not agree, because I'm ashamed. I don't even agree myself. How could he? Do you understand? These emotions, these opinions, these beliefs, you think that the other is going to react in this or that way, you have no idea unless you know the person very well, which could be accurate. Nonetheless, the reason why you're hurt is because you are hurt and not the other. Huh? Read. The veil of the mind, where every reason you have invoked to do or not do something was a more or less precise lie that could have been more or less precise about the truth that inspired it, where every reason that motivates you to do something is a composition of what you think is a good reason to motivate you to do it or not. Oof. You want to enlighten? You want to get to that point? You will need to break your arrogance. That veil is arrogance. That membrane, that projected movie is arrogant. The attitude of superficiality, the attitude of looking on what you dream could possibly be the truth, and from 5, 6, 7, 8, or 25 truths possible interpretation that your subconscious very quickly computes. You would select 2 or 3, and from those you go, boom, and you pick one that feels like the most manipulative, that would feel the most credible, knowing it's the best way to hide that truth. Because it won't hurt if I don't look at it, which is not a fact. It doesn't work that way. It will hurt whether you look at it or not. If you don't look at the truth, it blows in your face, you destroy your entire house because you get mad. I don't know if she's here. Yeah, all right. Hello. And she's like, oh my God. Good metaphor? Was it inspiring? Did it allow you to understand? How honest are you with yourself? You know, and I often talk about Afsagni as being my most advanced student, and how long had our conversations to be for her to just go to that, oh, that's the truth. Because we spent 3 weeks emailing. I would email 2 pages of information and arguments. She would answer 3 lines that seemed to be the best justification, and I hope I'm not going to have to say more because, you know, I'm running out of options on how I can get away from that. You know, she's been training for 3 years. At one point, you have to break that veil, okay? And I would sit with her then with 3, 4, 5 hours. All I would do is just listen to her reason. Look, that reason is good because not that, and that proves this, and how do you feel for real? Come on, do it. And you know, it took some courage, but she did it. And if she did it, well, you did it. A lot of you did it, actually, and you can go further. Remember, You're never free of that function, that system. It's always going to stay there. The proof is, before I could immediately, instantaneously be in a state of truth towards that wonderful, lovely Carlos, I had an instant of shame that caused me to say a joke. And I said, that's wonderful. I now can use this to teach it. Nonetheless, I had a projection into which I made a joke and said, let's go and sing down what happened. So I'm not free of that even with all the years of training. It's just I see it when it happens and I say, hey, oh my God, I can admit that I felt some kind of shame. Not of talking about sexuality. No, that's okay. A shame of knowing I'm going to tell him I'm not going to be sexual with him. You know, it was not the fact that I'm hit by a guy, it's the fact that I'm going to reject him and I don't want him to close his heart, just his dick. Your ass, two. That was good, actually. It was free of potential. That's cool. All right. At some point, it's just talk. But very often we think it's just talk, and no, it's not. There's something behind, there's something beyond. And I often have this kind of challenge with the people because I will reject the level at which people want to interact with me. And I'm not only talking about sexuality, I'm talking about the fact that people want to make a line to talk to me, and very often I say, this weekend, don't come and talk to me. And this is one of those weekends, okay? This weekend, no one comes and talks to me. I won't give soul names, I won't answer questions, I have to take care of stuff inside from all the shit I've stirred this week and keep focused on what I have to teach today, okay? Which is a way to make you realize how to cross that lying border, okay? Which will be difficult because you're ashamed of lying to yourself. So ashamed that you're going to fight with that same system to justify that it wasn't really a lie or that you're not really doing it. Although you completely know you are stuck with that, you're still trying to fight your way out of it. So don't come and talk to me because I don't want to argue with that, okay? I've got enough shit of my own. Pretty happy shit, but shit of my own. And in a way, when there's a strong land and a movie película, a movie film, and it goes on the screen, we call that projection. Okay? Hope it makes sense with the other seminar. Go inside you and look while I talk. In the heart, ashamed of existing. It started to be awakened by the dialogue that we had so far in the morning. So, now that you understand the intellectual basics of it, look at one powerful potential inside you, which is the shame of admitting that you have not yet seen the truth, where you were convinced that you did. Okay? You want right now to look at that shame. And the humility required to admit, I could not have been right about various things. Sometimes you're right about the color of an object because you see it's blue, you know it's blue, so you're right. About facts, you're okay. We're talking about motivations. Your motivations to do things, say things, were tainted by forces inside you ignore existed. And the humility that requires to say, I was not even in charge of myself. I was not even honest with myself. I was fighting for my rights and I was lying to myself. I was convincing others of how right I was and I still was wrong because I couldn't even see clearly while I was convinced that my perception was the clearest of everyone involved in that conversation. The humility it takes because of shame and also because of pride, such a need to be right about everything. You have just to become humble and admit, first, that everyone's doing that. So you're not that different than anyone else. And second, you were raised that way and you were never shown to go deep inside to feel your inner motivations. You were not shown. So it's not your fault. We are in a society of intellectualization, so you were shown to intellectualize something that cannot be intellectualized because it's not on the intellectual level. It's on the emotional or vital or physical level, but it's not intellectual. It's not logical why we fall in love with a precise person. It's not logical why we start to feel desires for one person and not another. It's not logical why at one point we have desire for a lover and then another one we don't. It's not always logical. Science showed you there's always a reason behind it. Yeah, and it tries to understand, but still people are stuck with the suffering because you were trained to think reality when reality is something that is lived and not projected in the mind. So the humility is the shame of admitting in the face of a lot of people you were full of shit and wrong. And sometimes you even had conversations where you knew that you were wrong and still kept talking like if you were right because you couldn't just admit you had lost that argument. And you even agreed with the argumentation of the other against you. You know, the shame and the pride that is so hurt, the pride, boom, fist in the guts, fist in the face. Because of that powerful veil. The powerful veil that if you keep trusting, you're going to just keep running around after your tail and go nowhere. And you will repeat experiences and you'll repeat conflicts if you don't go to the humble state. I was full of crap. And then the forgiveness aspect, I did not know I was full of crap. I was trained to ignore it. And it's not society's fault because it's a way to avoid suffering. They tried their best. And it's not anyone's fault, but it sure is everyone's responsibility. And I'm going to take mine. You have to go into that state. I want to take my responsibility to make an effort to identify the true motivations behind every act and every word. Because if I don't, I cannot initiate that process in someone else. You can't hope to use that wisdom against someone, staying stuck in the projection in your mind that you're right and tell other people, you're not even looking at yourself. You say this, but what I see is da 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 da. You know, using that wisdom thinking that you master it, and then trying to talk about the true motivations of someone when they are still in your perception, just projection that you can make in your mind. You don't have what it takes, except a few of you here, you don't have what it takes to purely look at potentials of another. All you would see is the projection of their mind, or analyze their physical behaviors, or something like that, but you wouldn't see past their true potentials, and you certainly would not see past your own. Because the membrane taints everything. That diaphan, the veil of the mind, taints absolutely every perception that you have. Even with ESP, even with clairvoyance and revelation, a God would come to you to whisper the words of truth in your ear, and you would still hear the stuff that you were trained to hear, changing the revelation, because this is what a lot of seers and channels do, and they alter the actual revelation. Woo! Humility. I was wrong. Blinded. Guided by another blinded. And guiding another one blind also. You're convinced that they're going to the cafeteria, but you have these 25 blind people each holding their hand, and they end up going into a circle. always trusting too much the one in front and imposing their will on the one behind, not seeing what's going on. That's life, okay? That's life. That's the empty, useless, so slow path of evolution of life, where you wait for nature to throw the group of blind people convinced they're right, throw them into an abyss, a hole, to walk on shit that they have not seen, to hit trees that were not forewarned, because they're not real looking, and you're that. You know, it takes humility to admit, I'm afraid right now. I'm so afraid even to admit I currently do not know what is going on inside me. And I'm afraid to admit that I ignore what are my true motivations. It takes humility to admit you don't know what's going on and why you're hurt. The truth is, and that applies to my own personal experience in life with the person I share time with, okay? With that person I told you that I'm finally starting to, to be able to get in contact again. People I live with. It took a lot of time for me to get close back to the mother of my children, to be happy. And I appreciate that some of you respect the metaphor. You see, I stutter because I'm stuck with my own shame. I appreciate the metaphorical aspect and the direct aspect of my speech when I switch from one to another, because I find it's the best way to teach you. So I'm finally able to have some kind of contact with that person that I so much enjoy being in contact with. But it's, because I travel a lot, I don't get to see her often. Because I'm traveling, then not. Then traveling, then not. And using expedient means to speak about that, I have blamed that person for not providing the love that I needed when I had so little time with her. And then I had to become humble enough that it wasn't her fault. I was in a state of need. And it wasn't for me to blame the other person to fill that need. So I had only to be humble enough to make a decision to stop wanting that need to be filled by her if she wouldn't. And stop projecting, okay? So that's the cryptic, maybe, way of how I talk about my personal life. I'm going to try to be a bit more precise. You have blamed your lover for not giving you what you expected. The fact is, you just felt abandoned and a conversation. 3-hour argument, yada yada yada, dishes, da 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 da, love, da 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 da, budget, what are we gonna do? I felt abandoned because you didn't take me in your arms yesterday. Dear, it's not your fault. I should have told you I needed that support. And I should have been humble enough to accept if you couldn't give it, if you didn't feel like it, to accept that you were not ready to give it. That's true speaking. But how can you know if you could have something filled by someone else's if you never even talk about it, because you say that you're certain of the outcome when actually you completely ignore it? You're just afraid of being certain of the outcome or being wrong. It takes humility. And that's how parents are with children. That's how children are with parents. Do we agree? You have been children and you have been screwing up so much with your mind, inventing mythologies one after the other to tell your parents to justify all the things that were not real, to the point that you even believe that your bullshit was the real thing. Yes, humbling, a very humiliating and humbling conversation. You will not enlighten while you believe what is projected on the veil. And you cannot get out of depression or find a way to satisfaction of your desire if you keep believing what is projected on the veil. And that is one of the major causes of conflict. People lie convinced they're saying the truth. That's what's happening. And it's so hypocrite and arrogant to expect that the other should do his work, while you use this as an argument not to do yours. We have to look at our own shit, and I know personally, to always be as clean as possible. Honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. I told you sometimes the other's not ready or will not address the situation, and especially if the other decided not to go onto a spiritual path, respect them with your inner motivation. Because you say, let's say you're a guy, you have a wife, you've been in that relationship for so long, you're trying to get that kind of attention from someone else, and you're uncertain, and all you want to do is tell to your wife, I yearn for more contact with you. That's why I hang out with my friends. We go to hockey, and we go to play only because after a good fight on the boxing stand or after a good game, everybody goes clap clap and they hug me, and the only hug I can have is with my best friends, not even with the girl I married. So this guy, I understand how hard it is, but if that wife did not decide to evolve in the same way you did, you need to be careful. You still need to open up because you need to talk about this stuff, but you need to choose your wording not as a lie and manipulation, as a soft but exact pure truth. Soft, without any violence, without any blame. I want you to know, dear, that I work very hard never to think that anything was your fault. And I have felt often the need to be hugged. And I tried to show you various ways, and I was probably very incompetent. Instead of blaming, but you didn't see it, bitch. I was probably incompetent. Just bring everything back to yourself. If you didn't see that I needed that hug, it's because I have miscommunicated it. That I wanted to feel more of that, your attention, that could have led or not to sexuality. I needed the hugs more. And you see, just in that little expression, I could have blamed her 4, 5, 6 times. That affection you didn't give me because you didn't see it when I did everything to show you. No, you didn't do everything to show her. You never said it with words. Come on, don't lie to yourself. I did everything for you. No, you didn't. You didn't tell me what you want. What, I'm some kind of telepath I'm supposed to know in advance? Bullshit. Tell me what you want. And say it softly so I won't be offended. But even then, that wife that didn't choose to go that way felt guilty and took it as a blame. Because she couldn't take my careful names, my careful words of always getting back to myself. She heard those words and she interpreted with her own projected guilt of every man that she did not successfully satisfy. And she became angry at me. In fact, not to admit she was so angry at her that she couldn't bring satisfaction to a man. And couldn't even see the cause that she couldn't bring satisfaction to a man because it hurt so much when she tried in the past. Wow, my God. I mean, there's shit going on. Do you see? I'm using personal experiences in my love relationship in the last few years, so you can, project it on your own mind and see it from your own perspective. Conversation can advance even if we both try. I say something that I think is as accurate as possible, bringing back to me as much as I can, cause reaction in the other, and it's so great when the other decides, I'm going to see what offended me, with these words because you were so careful not to try to offend me, but I still felt offended. The offense has to come from inside me. Okay? So now play that role at that person. Someone goes to you and you hear arguments. You're the one listening to the guy or the girl talking. Okay? You're the one listening and they're saying something and all you hear is the interpretation you do of their words while it happens. And you're not even understanding what the other is expressing because your mind is on your projection instead of deep inside in your shit that misinterpreted, or if you could be deep inside the other person to understand why this person tells you that. Okay, the motivations behind dialogue are cruel, insensible powers that doesn't care about your well-being, just want to enact its program, and that's it. So we have wonderful, blessed forces inside and treacherous, dominating forces inside. We have all of this. We have the happiness and we have the suffering. We have everything. Don't be so negative. Oh, life is full of shit and crap. Yeah, of course, there is shit and crap. Of course, there's so much happening and laughter and opportunities for love and pleasure. But there's also crap, and you need to take it globally and stop dramatizing. And if you have been trained to dramatize, if 90% of you is happy and 10% is unhappy, all you see on that screen is the 10% of shadows of unhappiness, and you go in depression while pretty much everything in your life goes well. It's pretty hard to sing there. Woo, great, profound speech of humility, of breaking the pride, of defeating that power of ignorance that makes sure you don't look at the truth. Breathe. Thank you so much for your patience and for the sinking down in the feeling of the emotions that rise when I was talking about it. Because if you don't look at these emotions and feel them long time, another trick of the mind is fleeing. So I'm going to tell you about this. We're going to take another break. Take at least 10 minutes, just ventilate a bit.